Hi everyone, and welcome to my new series entitled What Do You Want from a Drummer? In this series, I'm interviewing a number of musicians on different instruments, all of whom employ drummers. And I'm going to be asking them and talking to them about what they value the most, what they look for in a good drummer, and what they don't like, what stops them employing someone. So hopefully we can all listen and benefit and find out what really makes those people that hire us tick. The first person I'm lucky enough to interview is Latin percussionist, DJ and producer Snowboy. Snowboy's played with Lisa Stansfield, Amy Winehouse, Imelda May, Rod Temperton, Mark Ronson, Simply Red, Ayeto Moreira, the James Taylor Quartet, Misha Paris, Incognito and Patty Austin, and that's just a few. He's also been fortunate enough to share the stage with drummers including Ash Sloan, Andy Gangadine, Bernard Purdy and Gavin Harrison, to name just a few. So please enjoy the interview. Don't forget to like and subscribe the channel so you don't miss out on any future episodes. Here's Snowboy. Thanks for joining us today, Snowboy. What I really want to find out is what should drummers be thinking about in terms of what other musicians want. So I'm interviewing lots of different people and asking them what they look for as a drummer. And obviously I know you work as a percussionist and as a producer and over loads of different styles. So you've kind of probably got a lot of, do you have different opinions depending on what job you're doing? Or do you just have what you like? How do you think about it?
Yeah, there's all different kind of requirements really. I mean, certainly like from a production point of view, sometimes you need a song to get busier at certain points, you know, so therefore you're more or less conducting that in a sense, you know, live is I've got a different requirements from a drummer really live, or what I hope to hear, the way that we work together. I don't see. It's a bit of an old-fashioned attitude of. I'm the drummer, you follow me. Okay. A percussionist and a drummer they're meant to work together. They're both up there as equals, and I expect the drummer to work with me as much as I do with them. And you can always tell when a drummer isn't used to working with a percussionist. Probably they don't have you in the monitor for a start because they think you should be following them.
Sure.
You know, so all that kind of thing. You know, we're not icing on the cake. We're not peripheral. We are equals on that stage. That's you find with all the real kind of the heavy pro drummers, they're all used to working with percussionists, so you don't really get that. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's getting that understanding about your role there is quite. I guess sometimes you have to assert yourself as well in the position of a percussionist. I hear horror stories of people. There's like a friend of mine. You know, he'll get a mic on his percussion if there's any left over. You know, and yet the drummer will have 7 on his kit. You know,
I've been that guy.
Oh no,
sure.
No.
So, what do you if you're booking a drummer, not for any particular band, but are there musical things that you look for that you think I want these skills from a drummer? What should when drummers all sit there and practice, and a lot of them take notice of other drummers. So I'm looking at the idea of just being aware of what the other musicians in the band might want from a drummer. So obviously you're saying an awareness of drums and percussion together and kind of understanding stylistic stuff in that respect. But what about just as a standalone drummer, what would make you go for one drummer as opposed to another?
Well, both live and in production, I tend to go for specialist drummers, you know, not general session drummers that can do a bit of this and a bit of that. So if I'm doing a funk track, I want someone that really understands that style and would be the same with Afro-Cuban. Of course, I would, with my drummer that's been with me 30 years, Davide Giovannini, of course, I'm always going to use Davide Giovannini, anything to do with anything Afro-Latin. Of course, there are some other incredible ones like Vanjo Milojevic, Tristan Banks, who I've also worked with. They're all slightly different or quite different in stylistically for that kind of music, but they have all got their own style, and I know that any one of those styles is going to work well with what I do. But I generally don't book session drummers.
Okay.
You know, I just always get the specialist in because you know straight away they know exactly what they're doing with that kind of music.
Excellent. Okay. Are there non-musical things that you look for? You know, things about the person or you know.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's really important if someone's arrogant, that will probably be, or got an attitude. That's probably going to be the first and last time I will work with them, because I do believe music is a team sport, and it's important that everyone gets on. You know, the attitude of, you know, that there needs to be some kind of a bond there, you know, and someone feeling that they're better than someone else that's no good, you know. Or, you know, I've seen that air on a few occasions, not necessarily with drummers, but you know, they walk in like, you know, their CV is ridiculous, and they walk in. I'm guessing they all expect people to bow to them or something like that. And I mean, you know, I've met some of the biggest artists and musicians in the world, and they're not like that. None of them are like that. It's almost kind of, you know, they don't need to assert themselves. They don't need to prove that they're anything, because they're already there. They are. They're already there.
Yeah. Okay, so moving on, and just to kind of wrap up, do you have any particular memories or stories of working with particular drummers that have kind of caught your attention? And what was it that they did that was so good that kind of grabbed your attention?
It's a difficult question, really, because I think there are always, I think, spectacular moments in any gig. Really, there is always that moment. So yeah, it's quite a hard question to answer, really. I mean, you know, one thing I will say is that, I mean, off the top of my head, other than Davide Giovannini and Vanjo and Tristan, as I've mentioned, you know, people like Andy Gangadine, Gavin Harrison, Ash Sohn, Bernard Purdy, Kim Plainfield. These are all people that I've played with, and they are. And what impresses me the most with these people is that there is no need in their playing to constantly having to prove themselves. You know, just getting in the pocket. Because that's the kind of player I am as well. And if I'm playing with a drummer that's just in that pocket, which all of those drummers are, then, you know, that to me, that's the most musical thing. And almost there's excitement there in being in the pocket rather than pyrotechnics galore. I mean, there's time for pyrotechnics in every gig, but any drummer that goes straight in is all over the kit, left, right and centre. I mean, I know there's, you know, for different types of music, like, you know, jazz fusion or some forms of metal, you know, where it is very chops, or the modern gospel, you know, where it's all about chops. Okay, that's fine, but that's not me and what I'm interested in. I'm interested in pocket playing. That's the way I try and play, and that's what. And all of these drummers that I've just mentioned are all top of their game, and they are exactly the same attitude. It's all about just nothing more than is required, you know, until the right moment. And you know, and I find nothing more exciting than sitting on a groove, everyone's in kilter. There's a kind of a repetition. It's almost there's something, an excitement in in something being hypnotic in a way, where
Yeah.
everything's just forging ahead, and everyone's right there in the pocket. You know, that to me, that's the most exciting thing of all.
Excellent, lovely. Can we finish with, have you got maybe a couple of bits of advice that you give to student drummers? What should they be thinking about to kind of head towards a career in music or to improve their musical playing?
I think with drummers is you know, they've, again, it's what I said earlier, they've young drummers, they've got to, you know, it's a difficult one, because, you know, they are, everyone's reliant on them, you know,
Yeah.
obviously for counting in and you know, keeping the time, but they've got to realise that it's a team effort up there as well, and they've got to listen as much. Don't keep expecting people to be listening to them all the time. It's you know, we're all there for the same reason, making music, and so yeah, they've just got to keep their ears out. I do feel quite strongly though that there is that thing with drummers though, especially like new drummers coming through, that
Yeah.
there's this kind of need to prove themselves.
Right.
You know, I think that's the nature of the modern young musicians. It's almost become,
To show what you've got straight away.
it's like an extreme sport.
Yeah.
You know, like just all music. Well, actually, well, it could be anything now, isn't it? Everything's bloody extreme. Breakdancing, skateboarding, everything. We're all an age of all youngsters playing to the extremes, and it's that old adage about sometimes it's what you leave out rather than what you put in is the most important thing. But listening, that's my best advice. Listen, you know, just listen to what's going on around you. It's not all about you, it's about all of us. It's a team.
Yeah, great. That's brilliant. Thanks very much.
Good.
Lovely.
Does that all make sense?
Yeah, so that's really cool.
Yeah.
Thanks a
Brilliant.
lot.